Hello, everyone. Randy Clark with KPI Fire. We're going to give this another minute or so just to get people on. So hold on. The web. Okay, everybody. Welcome to today's Managing Projects in KPI Fire webinar. Good thing we waited for one extra minute. I think we just about doubled our attendance in the last 1 minute. So welcome, everybody, and hope we all have a great weekend this week. Stay cool. All right, so what we're going to talk about is managing projects in KPI Fire. Here's our agenda. We'll do a brief introduction, an overview of KPI Fire, and then we'll get into managing projects. We're going to setting the home page. We're going to talk about submitting an idea, creating a project, basic information and the action items on projects, the charter elements, task management, status reports, and other features like the timeline, Kanban, and files view as well, and open up questions. Now, what you'll have is on that little webinar control box, there is a section for questions. You can pop a question there at any time. It'll show up on my second screen here, so I'll be able to see and hopefully address that question. We will have a Q&A at the end. We can, but if I see a question relevant to what we're speaking about, we'll delve into it. You can also send a chat as well, and the chat box basically works the same way as a question. So welcome, everybody, and let's get started. So a little bit about myself. I'm the VP of Sales here at KPI Fire. My background is in continuous improvement, Lean Six Sigma. I led a Baldrige quality initiative at Whirlpool Corporation for a number of years, 3-year Baldrige examiner. I left Whirlpool to go to Pitney Bowes to start a continuous improvement Six Sigma program at Pitney Bowes, where we had to control and figure out, exactly who was doing what and what was it worth, and be able to report on the function of those projects. And so I've been in very similar situations to a number of our clients. Now I see some folks are clients of ours, some are not. So what we thought we'd do is start a little bit with overview of KPI Fire. And so this is basically what KPI Fire does here. And it has these 4 key areas. Starts up here with identifying and making visible the goals of the organization. Where are we going? What are we trying to do? Is it cost reduction? Is it defect reduction? Is it cycle time? Is it customer satisfaction, et cetera? Right? So we set those goals in the tool, right? So we communicate those goals. Anybody can see what those goals look like. Cascade them throughout the organization, different levels have their own goals. And then the metrics around those. So how do we measure it, right? If we're measuring cost reduction, we want to see, dollars saved, defects produced, that type of thing, so we can track performance metrics. Are we getting better, trending those, et cetera? So we record those performance, make them visible. 3, project area, right? We want to capture ideas and prioritize and then execute them as projects. So around those goals and metrics, we might have an idea. Hey, I think this is a great idea we should pursue. Submit that idea so that we can evaluate it. We can prioritize it, get it on our list of backlog projects. When a resource becomes available, assign that project. And then finally, there in the middle are these reports and huddle boards. And those are basically tracking the value, the plan, right? Tracking value to the goals that we're tracking, having reports and huddle boards to understand and communicate across the organization how we're doing. Okay. So that's a general basic overview of KPI Fire. We're going to jump in here to the tool itself to go into managing our projects and the rest of our agenda today. So let's pop in here, right, to log into KPI Fire. Now, one of the key things that we do here in KPI Fire is you can set your home page. So when I log in, I believe this is your default home page, which is a My Projects view. And what it does for you is it shows you any projects that you own. And I own a lot of projects here. I'm on every one of these projects. It has what you've recently viewed and looked at, and also any favorite projects that you might put a favorite on to keep track of, so you can jump in. You're not running it, it's not your project, but you want to keep it close to be able to jump into that. So this is, I think, the default view. Now, based on your role in the organization, you may want a different view. How do I do that? And if I go to my profile up here, I can go into my individual profile, and down here it says, what's my default home page? The default is select home page, and let's say I want it to be the project listing view. Let's say when I log in, I want to see this view. So I got my project view. Maybe if you're this gives you access to all of those different projects. If you're a master black belt or mentor, or you're keeping track of these projects, you can see it here. Okay? But if I go back, let's say to my project list view, my project view, right? So hit pop this in. Right. So from here, if I jump into a project on any of these projects, click on that project, we can see the projects appear on the right. And what you can do is you can close down that view, and then it's still there, so you can open and jump back and forth. So it's this very useful sort of interface to be able to jump back and forth between multiple individual projects. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to start out submitting a project into the idea. Right? So if we look here at sort of our big picture view of the goals in the organization and what we're after, right? So here are some of our goals, our metrics, right? Some of these things are about cost reduction and cycle time or EBITDA growth. And I've got an idea around that. I want to go into this new idea, submit that idea, right? And let's just say this is this new cost reduction idea that we've got. Now, where is this idea going to be executed at? Well, it's going to be in one of the locations. So we think we'll execute this project in the Detroit plant. Right? So I'm just going to go ahead and submit my idea. An idea goes into the system here, and then I have view to all of those different ideas. Right? Now, we're not going to go too deep into this. I just wanted to point out, one of the differences of KPI Fire and managing projects is not just about managing, but it's also submitting the ideas, having a pipeline of ideas, prioritization around those, so that we're ready to advance sort of this backlog of ideas once we have a resource available. Right? So if someone's getting available, we can activate that project and move on. Okay? But let's just start here. Let's go back to my home page, right? So if we're going to start from scratch, I'm not from submitting an idea. There's a couple ways to do that. Right here at the top, it says add a project. I can go in and add that project. Or over here on my add button, anywhere in the tool, you can always add, right? If you're anywhere on the metrics or the goals or the projects, this add button is always visible. So I can add a project from here as well. So I'm going to say my new project here, and let's put this in and say, this is my test demo project, right? Again, where is this going to be executed? I'm going to pick that organization where it will be executed. Now, key to this as well is understanding that if I selected in Detroit, any of the benefits associated with this project are going to apply to the benefits that Detroit is producing. So what this is doing is one, it's showing us where is that project executed, but where do those benefits apply in terms of savings that are produced or et cetera. Okay? So we're able to roll that up based on this designation. So grab that, say, great, everything looks good. We're going to add that new in, right? We got a question here. Do we want to select a workflow, right? Or do we want to start it from scratch? We're going to start it from scratch in this case. And so this start from scratch. So this is a project without a workflow, without steps and methodology to it. It's not a PDCA or an A3. It's just a normal set of tasks that I want to put. So I'm going to hit start from scratch, hit OK, and we are into our project. So we don't need this over here, so I can close down that left-hand menu. Note that it's still there. I can always open open it up to navigate to another project. We've just entered this activity project here. Let's go in and say, what does my charter look like on this project? So in the project, my problem and opportunity statement, what it does is it just automatically takes the name of the project and pops it in there. But what we're looking for is a little bit more detail. Right? So I'm going to take this, give it a little thought here and say, hey, my problem is, right, in 2001, we returned 6,000, almost 7,000 products to we received back from our clients. Problems. Every product we're placing this is it costs us. We got to scrap it. Here's the amount associated with this problem. This looks like a great problem statement. Defining why is this important? What's it worth? What can we do about it? I also say, well, what would my scope on this project be? Right, so let's fill that one out here. Let's see. I've got my scope statement here. I'm going to copy it in. I'm going to copy my scope statement. Let's just replace what's there. So this is going to focus on industrial products. Right? There are a number of different products associated with this organization, but the industrial and the consumer, but this is just for industrial products, and out of scope is anything in the consumer. Again, hoping to define where this work should be. Okay. So we put together this project element. Let's look at some of the tabs up here at the top, and we'll go straight to the task tab. Task tab, this is what's defined in the current, start from scratch task tab. And it's to define my problem statement. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I've already done this. I've defined my problem and determined my steps, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that and mark it as completed. And all you do is, right, change it from to do, to doing, to done. And when you set to done, the completion date is the date that you did mark it complete. And I want, more work to do. Right, let's just put in here more work on this project, right? Just added a new task, right? What's the due date on that? Set the due date, it's gonna be due next week, done. Okay. Now this task can also then, if you hover over that, see that little icon that shows up? I can create a subtask to this, or I can indent it. Right? If I say this is a part of this, define the problem, so I've indented it as such, or I can outdent it, and then from there I can say, hey, I want to create a subtask with this, and this is XYZ, add a task, right? So here's a subtask to get this task done. We can also create phases on this project. Right? What we can see here, what we call them groups. Right? We have one group defined right now. It's the prioritized group. If I want to create a new group, I can say, hey, well, let's put in phase 1 of this project. So here's phase 1 of the project, right? So now I can open that up and put tasks underneath that phase. So we've created out that project. Real simple, easy, sort of adding individual tasks here. But we get started in this project and we figure, you know what? We should use an A3 template. This is really an A3 type project and we should use that. Well, if I look up here in the top right, here's all the basic information about this project. Who owns it? I own it, I created it. Where is it? It's in that Detroit plant. It has to do with shareholders and cost reduction, so we're going to put it in that category. But the workflow here is this standard idea capture. Right? We're going to change this to an A3 workflow. So change it. Now, when we do that, it's going to ask us, well, wait a minute, you've already got some stuff in here. Do you want to merge it with the charter or replace it? Right? Do you want to, I'm just going to merge it. Do you want to workflows and all the tasks, get rid of all these tasks and replace it with the A3 tasks, or merge it with these? And if you have benefits in there, we haven't put any in yet, whether or not you want to keep those or not. It looks good. and it's going to take that workflow and apply it now to my project. So I've still got here, let's close that. I've still got my priority in phase one, the stuff I've already created there, but this A3 workflow contains all this other good stuff, right? Search KPI Fire for similar projects. Yep, I need to do that. Let's see if it's been done before. We can leverage it. A3, fill out the A3 form. If I look over here and see that that notes tab is blue, that means there's some instruction for me in this workflow. So if I open that up, and let's open this up a little bit. Here's my A3 problem solving steps and methodology, right? It's also got, oh, look at this, there's a video in here. I'm gonna take this, right, and go ahead and search that video. Here's a video.
Welcome to a brief overview about
an A3 thinking, right? Hey, useful. I haven't done an A3 in a while. Maybe I'll, bone up on how an A3 works and what I'm supposed to do in this step. Okay? These are all configurable, and you can provide these for your project managers as far as your administrative function. It's all built into that workflow. Okay? So, all of those tools can be embedded in those functions. Okay? Let's go back now and look at this charter. And what's it look like? Hey, it still has that information I put in my scope statement because I merged it with that information. Now, what I might want to do is go in, look at my team members here, my team. Right? So there's a couple ways to do it. I can use the team tab up here, or if it's on my charter like this one is, I can go in and say, hey, Keith, I need you in here as a team member. And as a team member, I need you as a sponsor. You're going to be like, I'm going to put a little note in here. Let's do this. Approvals. Right, so Keith's going to be having sponsoring and approving, and then maybe I need a subject matter expert here. And so let's grab Michelle and add her in, and she's basically going to be SME, subject matter expert on this project. So now if I go back to my task tab, I can go into any of those tasks and say, hey, give that to Michelle. Hey, let's go down here on these tasks, and I can start making assignments to these folks, right? Now, cool little feature here. One of the things I might do is see up here on the top, I can close or expand all the groups with this button here. I can go ahead and expand it, and then I can say, oh, wait, show me all the users and just show me the tasks that Michelle owns, right? So pop on any tasks that have been assigned to her, right? Select all, done, etc. I can also do mass edits. So for instance, right, this little circle here, give you a little warning because it says, watch out, you're about to modify all of these tasks. So if I go in and say, I want to take every one of these and assign them, click out. I'm sorry, hold on a second. What did I do? What did I just do? There we go. And I want to assign all of those to Michelle. Boom, I do a mass update. If I want to take every one of these tasks that are highlighted and I want to change the due date on any of those given tasks, let's see. Change the due dates on these. Let me just mark that complete. And I'm going to change the due date. Boom. I should be able to change all of those tasks to the same due date because I've highlighted it, right? So that's what this function is for. Now, these are some things often overlooked. This is going to show me only tasks that are open, right? So if I click on that, anything that is completed already is going to disappear and just show me the open tasks. Now, a couple other different functions. So let's close all these down. Let's go to our A3 functions here. Approvals on a process, right? So maybe here there's the savings estimates that needs to be approved, right? So I'm going to go into that and say, Keith, remember Keith is my approver person, so I'm going to put him in here as an approver needed on this task. So as I open that, now I know as I go to update those tasks, Keith will get a approval to sign off that this work has been done and that he approves of the financials. A couple other functions here, like flagging each individual area. This thing is done, but here we've got a task that's past due. Anytime a task is past due, like this 7/22, since today is 7, we're right there in the same time, 7/22, it should be green, but it's going to turn red as soon as it goes on that date. So I might want to also flag this as a process or a project that's out of compliance. All right, so set up task items, work through the projects. Key other elements here in the status reports. Now, status reports is one of those things that your organization either turns on or turns off. And this is set every Monday to have my weekly status report on this project. Anything that I've changed or modified or marked complete will show up here on my list of status. But if I put in here, talk to Jim about this, etc., right? So we put the team together, and this is my weekly status report. Will show up over here on the right hand as you submit these weekly statuses. Finally, when we come into something like the kanban view on this project, this is an interesting view, right? So you can see all the tasks that you have that are in the to-do area. I'm going to take everything and just mark those all as done. Then I can go to the phase 1 or the A3 workflow and say, hey, we're starting to work on that. Right? I can move those over if I'm pending approval for a process. So it's another way of sort of viewing the task items that you can jump in and sort of see and move them. Some people are more comfortable with this view, easy to sort of see what's happening. All right, let's do project benefits around this project. We want to be able to report out and roll up what this project is worth. Last thing we'll do here is the first thing we want to do when we're recording our project benefits is figure out, when do these benefits start? When will we start tracking benefits? And if it's sitting in July 20th right now, and we're working on this project, we probably won't start having benefits accruing until maybe October. So I'm just going to make a guess at this point that October would be the first time we start accruing those benefits. And then we select what kind of benefits that we're going to track: hard savings, some soft saving, some project costs. And then we're going to add those accounts in. And what happens here is you got now 12 months from October through September of next year is the total value of this project. And so this is going to show me across multiple 2 years here, really only 3 months of these savings will accrue to me this year, and the rest will accrue in the next, in 2023. So I put in my target. At this point, I don't know what my actuals are at this point. And maybe this is not $1,000 total, but it's $1,000 every month. So I want to go in and take that, drag that down. So what I'm showing now is $1,000 accrued to us every month for 12 months. That's the total value of this project. Done. Right? Any costs associated with it, right? Hey, we need to buy some software that we're going to spend a little bit of money on. What that does is it's a negative number, and it pulls it out of what my total benefit that I'm going to accrue. Final thing that we do on this, right, is look, does this need a approval of these projects? So down the road, when we need to approve this number, and we've got our actuals in there, what I do is I can put in Keith, he's the approver, the financials are here, and then I can send it for approval. So pending approval, right? What that happens is Keith gets a notification that it's time to review these numbers. Now, one of the things you might want to do is give them a little help, which is to add in an attachment. An attachment would be something like this. I want to attach this. Here's my details and assumptions behind my project savings. Got an Excel file where I've done some math about, hey, we're going to reduce, the time it takes to do such and such, and we'll have less material, what that cost is going to be this. Here's what my assumptions are. So that Keith has that also available to review, to sign off on those numbers. All right, so, well, going real quick, we came in, right, looking at setting up your homepage, submitting ideas, creating projects from scratch, being able to change workflows in midstream, right, from one workflow to another, adding tasks and how that works. Guys, I'm going to open it up for questions at this point. I don't see any questions have come in. Don't be shy. Go ahead and ask a question. We'll jump into it in the few minutes that we have. I'd love to address certain concerns that you might have, or issues, or how does it do this or that? Okay, so question came in, what's the project benefit report look like? Great question. Let's go in to our report drop down up here where I've saved some reports, and I'm going to look at my project benefits to plan report. What this is doing on this report is I've set a filter here for only dollars accruing to us this year. So even though that project we just created only had like 2 or 3 months of monies this year, that's all we're going to count. The benefits, most of the benefits for that project is going to be next year. So it's looking at those monthly benefits tracking, and it's only going to show me this year. Why? Because, because what we've done is we set a budget for $1 million savings across our organization. That $1 million is made up of $750 in one group and $250 in the other group. That's their target. These red and green bars are showing me what the actuals are. So as we roll this up, we can see we've identified in potential project savings 592,000. Actuals to date are only 415. That's red. And we can see that all of that negative variance is in one area. I mean, this group is way ahead of the game. They've identified more than they need. One of our problems is this industrial group doesn't have enough projects. They need more in the pipeline. We need to identify more opportunities so that we can drive more opportunity. So this is sort of giving us some evidence of, why do we have such a weak pipeline? Well, the target is pretty significant. Etc. Okay, so adding a project at the beginning. So let's go back to my projects page. This is sort of the default home page that everybody gets. From here, if I want to create a project, I can create one here with this button at the top of my projects. Give it a name, tell it what organization or group it is, right? So that's one function. I can also do it with this add button. Right? So I can go in and add this new project here, put in the name here. So that is how to add a new function. Okay, question came in. On occasion, an individual employee may make a change within a department that benefits his job position, The project is just do it. It may take a few hours throughout a month period. How did you get the A3? Okay. Yeah, and that's fine. If you want, when you're applying in any project, you put the benefits. If you work in a certain group and you're able to save time or same effort, you can report and roll up that cost to your group, even if it's this individual type project. Okay, how did I get to the A3 option? That's a good question. So when you are in a project, so I was in this project, let's close that. Up here at the top is the workflow associated with the project, right? So this A3 workflow, I added in to this project with all these steps and tasks, etc. So if I wanted to switch this now, hey, we're gonna move it to, a Kaizen event or a DMAIC Lite or PDCA, I can pick whatever. And now these workflows are controlled by your administrative function. So when we configure the tool, right, your leadership team says, what are the two workflows that we use? If the workflows are not on this list, we need to talk to the admins and get the workflows in there, because if you're using it, you should put it in there as a standard workflow. Okay, I know, guys, we've got a couple other questions that I can probably address offline, which you asked, you said go ahead and address it offline. It's time for the weekend. Everybody have a great weekend, enjoy, and let me know if you've got any other questions or issues. Here's my where's my phone number and email address, so you can pop it over to me. If you're interested in seeing more or want to do a demo or something like that, let me know, and we can do that. Okay? Guys, have a great weekend. Bye-bye now.